by my request. Just not getting around quite as well, the old legs dying on me. So I truly am a dying man. And I am preaching to dying people.
Amen.
Today. And that would be the spirit in which I would trust God would allow me to serve today. It's not the first time that I've been asked to speak here. By the way, if you don't know me, I hung around here for 25 years. 22 as I was on staff. And the last 2 or 3 years we've been visiting as a congregation. Very comfortable out there. I've been asked several times to speak, and I've always said no, no, too soon, no, not yet. And this time when Trevor asked me, I agreed, because I got him to Uganda with a hook question. And there was a little hook in his question for me this time, but it's good to be here. I do want to say that, as I affirmed 2 weeks ago when Trevor concluded his message, he is the right man for Foundry Church at this moment in history. And I am very proud to say he is my pastor and the senator of his ministry. I love his humor, I love his relevancy, his self-deprecation. It's just an Arkansas hick, right? Never use that word, but that's kind of what he's suggesting. I appreciate that. I appreciate his ability just to speak, it looks like, without any kind of notes, or just, just relational, he's just chatting with you, but I know he's thought it through and he's prayed it through. But I'm not like him. I'm a little different, so I do have 4 pages and a long book. Well, we actually are, just a short book. Someone said to me this morning, Habakkuk was their favorite book in the Old Testament. I asked why, and they said because it's short. We're going to be looking at the book of Habakkuk. If you can't find that thing, there is a thing called the Bible in your seat. Okay? You might want to take that out today because we're not printing the words to the entire book of Habakkuk. But page 763. So you don't have to look and look and look and see where this man really is located. 763 is the page number in your Bible there in the seat. And while you're turning, I'd like to speak to the Lord. Father, truly, I don't want to say that lightly. I am a dying man. We are dying people. We are broken people. I'm a broken man. We go through hard, sometimes seemingly impossible experiences in life. Sometimes I cry out, where are you? And why are you doing this? And how much longer? So Lord, I thank you for this man Habakkuk that you called and used uniquely to write a song that's so relevant to us today. Lord, give me the ability through your Spirit to be a faithful messenger. I pray in your name, Jesus. Amen. For the book of Habakkuk, the first thing I would say about the book of Habakkuk, outside of that, he's a prophet. You can't determine well, I guess he is a Jew. I was going to say, how do you pronounce that word? But he writes in such a special way. He writes what I would call a psalm of lament. Psalms of lament are the most common genre of songs in our song book called the Book of Psalms. Psalms of lament are songs that come from the gut, from the pit, from the dark. Sometimes psalms of lament are called howling psalms, because they usually begin with, how long, O Lord, how long? And then they ask, why, Lord, why? And then while they cry out how long and why in the darkness, they say, where are you? Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you responding? There's psalms written when you and I have been there praying and it seems like the prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. And God is absent or God doesn't care. Those are the psalms of lament. This is a psalm of lament that didn't get placed in the hymn book called the Book of Psalms, but in what we call the minor prophets. Habakkuk is anything but a minor prophet. He has a major message, so relevant. And by the way, I chose to speak from Habakkuk before I knew that Chris Chambers had a brain tumor that's inoperable. I chose Habakkuk before little Annabelle passed away. But I feel that God has given us a lesson today that is so relevant for many of you are today at Foundry Church. And I do want to treat it in one sermon. That's all I have. A whole book, one sermon. 3 chapters. But we'll get it. We'll get through. We'll get through on time. The first thing I noticed about Habakkuk is he says they're the oracles that Habakkuk the prophet received. That word oracle in the Hebrew is a heavy burden. God has given Habakkuk a tough message. A message he doesn't like and he doesn't want to pass on. It's not politically correct. And it begins then with, how long, O Lord, must I call for help? But you don't listen. Or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save. Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrong? Destruction and violence are before me. There's strife and conflict abounds. Therefore the law is paralyzed. Technical knockout, you say. And justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous so that justice is perverted. There's his lament. Little Judah, his home country, is filled with injustice. The wealthy have become wealthier, the powerful have become more powerful, the poor have become victims, and no one is standing up for the right. And he cries out, justice has been perverted and the law has been knocked out. And no one cares. But what bothers me most, Habakkuk says, is you don't seem to care. You don't seem to even know about this. Now, that's a pretty bold statement. Sometimes when you're going through hard times, you feel these emotions. God is abandoning you. God's not listening. God doesn't care. And sometimes we ask ourselves, or maybe you've heard somebody challenge you, you shouldn't talk like that to God. I think a better question is, why not talk to God like that? Because if half of the Psalms, almost half of the Psalms, are Psalms of lament. And if Jesus could say a psalm of lament from the cross, my God, why have you, of all people, forsaken me? I understand the Jewish crowd. They didn't like me from the beginning. I understand the disciples. They're scared. But where are you in my dark night? So if God is, his own son can cry a psalm of lament, why can't we? So that's Habakkuk's psalm of lament. And I think what I see in this first lament is he's questioning God's love and God's concern. All hell has broken loose around me. And the bad people are beating up on the good people. And the laws are being broken and no one's enforcing them. And justice is not fair. Justice is not blind. And where are you when I need you most? I thought you were an all-loving God. And if you're an all-loving God and you're an all-powerful God, theologians say omnipotent, has all power, then why aren't you a loving God doing something about the mess going on here in my world today? Last week, listening to a Billy Graham half hour that he does sometimes on Saturday nights, I believe it was Saturday night or Sunday night, there was a Sudan pastor from Sudan who was sharing it because his church had been bombed by the Islamic extremists. By the way, if they say Islamic extremists, no, I think they're just Islamic acting the way the Quran says to act. The church has been bombed and they are being hurt. His people are being persecuted. And he said, I prayed to God, how long will this go on, and where are you? He too had a psalm of lament. God, in this particular psalm, is different. In the Psalms of Lament in the hymn book, called the Psalms, God never responds. He remains silent. The psalmist never gets an answer. But most of them, by verbalizing their frustration, it's therapeutic. And they end their song of lament, by saying, in the midst of the garbage can, I trust you. I don't see you, I don't feel you, but I know you. I trust you. What's different about Habakkuk, and that's why I love this song of lament, is God butts in. It's not really a song of lament as much as it becomes a debate. A debate between Habakkuk the prophet and God, sovereign God. So God bursts in there in verse 5. And he says, look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed, for I am doing something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told. I'm doing something that you can't see, and if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. I'm going to tell you anyhow. He says, I'm raising up this nation called Babylon. And then he describes this nation of Babylon, the newest bully on the block. In that era, there were a lot of world empires and world leaders who, when they rose to power, they just tried to conquer the whole world. They took everybody out in their path, raped them, ripped them. Habakkuk raises it a notch higher, Babylon raises it even a notch higher. So verse 6, I am raising up the Babylonians, that ruthless and impetuous people, who sweep across the whole earth to seize dwelling places that are not their own. They are feared and dreaded people, and they are a law to themselves, and they promote their own honor. Their horses are swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves at dusk. Their cavalry gallops headlong, their horsemen come from afar. They fly like a vulture sweeping to devour. They all come bent on violence. Their hordes advance like a desert wind and gather prisoners like the wind. I love that beautiful word picture. It's like a desert storm, and the more gravel or sand that it picks up more. And so they're like this violent storm sweeping across the desert, capturing in POWs, prisoners of war. And no one can stop them. This is God speaking about them. And then he says they deride kings and scoff at rulers. They laugh at all fortified cities. They build earthen ramps and capture them. Then they sweep past like the wind and go on. Guilty men, whose own strength is their God. They're arrogant. They worship their own military prowess. That's the people I'm raising up to do my job. Now, if I'm Habakkuk, and I thought it was bad enough what was happening in Judah, how do I feel now? After lamenting, what are you going to do? And then God gives me this answer that doesn't work, doesn't fit. When I cry out, God, come and help me, I have a little plan for you, God. Read the menu. And he doesn't do what they expect him to do. And sometimes that happens in my life and your lives. We figure that if God's going to intervene, this is the way he's going to do it. He always has, he always will. He should. He must. It's me. He loves me. But he does something totally opposite. How does Habakkuk respond? So he comes back with a second lament, beginning in verse 12 of chapter 1. O Lord, are you not from everlasting, my God, my Holy One? We will not die. O Lord, you have appointed them to execute judgment. O Rock, you have ordained them to punish. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You can't tolerate wrong. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous, Babylon? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? You have made men like fish in the sea, like sea creatures that have no rudder. The wicked, pulls all of them up with hooks. He catches them in his net. He gathers them up in his drag net, and so he rejoices and is glad. Therefore he sacrifices to his net, his military power, and burns incense to his drag net. For by his net he lives in luxury and enjoys the choicest food. Is he to keep on emptying his net, destroying nations without mercy? Is that the way you're going to do it, God? Now I'm not just questioning his love, I'm questioning his legitimacy, his character. Are you really a holy God, or are you not a holy God? Step up. You're going to take Babylon, who is worse than all of those that they're taking out, and you're going to use them? And how can you, with holy eyes, look on the treacherous people and allow them to do this? Where are you, God? Now, feeling pretty content with that last little blowout, he then settled back in chapter 2, verse 1. I will stand at my watch, station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me, and what answer I am to give to this complaint. All right, God, this is how I feel about it. What you're doing doesn't seem to be the righteous thing to do. You're taking wicked people to punish people less wicked. Now figure that out. That's not righteous. So I think he feels very justified in his challenge here. His dilemma now is he's stuck between what he's experiencing and what he knows. He knows, he's been taught, he's himself as a prophet has preached, God always does what is right. That's what righteous is. So in his mind, his theology says God is righteous, but his experience is saying God has it wrong. He's not doing what's right, he's doing what's wrong. There are times we do that. Life throws us a left-hand curve, and we're not ready for it. A left hook, if you will. Knocks us down. Why is it that somebody who eats a healthy life, a healthy diet, exercises, doesn't smoke, doesn't overdo on the drinking, takes care of his body, doesn't eat food that's not supposed to be eaten, dies young. And another person who doesn't eat a healthy diet, doesn't exercise, smokes and drinks and sleeps around, and he lives to a ripe old age, and we say, that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's where Habakkuk is living as he writes this. At one time in my ministry, I met with a man who had lost his loved one, his wife, over breakfast at a restaurant. As we began to talk, and his emotions were raw, questions like, why would a loving God do this? Why now? Why when she's so young and she was so healthy? Tears were bursting out of his eyes and falling on his omelet, salting his omelet. We've been working through the book of Habakkuk a little bit. But that's a natural emotion. How can this be? If God is good and God is powerful and God is righteous, how can this be? I love that passage there about the fish net. Is he going to keep on throwing his drag net, this huge net over the whole world, pulling in more fish, more fish, more fish, more prisoners, conquering more countries? Is there anybody who's going to stop him from celebrating his big catch of the day? God responds again, chapter 2, verse 22 through 20. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation. Make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come, not delayed. See, he, Babylon, is puffed up like a toad. His desires are not upright, but the righteous will live by faith. We quote that passage so often, the righteous will live by faith. The context. Here's Babylon, arrogant, proud, cocky, unrighteous, violent, thirsty for blood, trusting in their weapons of war. But the righteous will live by faith. Where is my confidence when the bottom falls out? There's no other place to have it than in God. And by the way, what I share today, I do not share it as being ways to manipulate and say I'm giving you simple answers to hard problems. I'm just stating the fact. Life sometimes is a garbage can. Bad things happen to good people. Goes on there, he says he's arrogant, Babylon. Because he is greedy as the grave. Like death, he's never satisfied. He gathers to himself all the nations and takes captives of all the people. And then what God does is he begins with 5 woes in the next half of that chapter. Curses upon Babylon. The last woe there, toward the end of chapter 2, he begins to describe Babylon's idolatry. They take a piece of stick and they carve it out and cover it with gold and call it God. And call out to this handmade God who has no ears and has no eyes and can't make a decision and no arms. Help us, help us, help us. And he comes back there then with a comment. The Lord is in his holy temple. Verse 20. Let all the earth be silent for him. In the context, he's saying there, even though hell is breaking loose and Babylon is begging their idols to take care of them, their idols have no sovereignty except for what I give them. But in the meantime, I want you to know, Habakkuk, I am still in the temple. I'm still in charge. I am sovereign. Growing up, I heard that verse used. That's why you have to dress up on Sundays, because you're going to the temple. The reason I dress up now is because I'm pleased with my wife. I'd love to be up here with blue jeans and a t-shirt. But I honor her, especially on Mother's Day. What this passage is saying is, Babylon, you're stupid. You're trusting in your own might. I gave you that might. You're trusting your idols who can't do a blooming thing. I am in the temple. And I am in charge. Let all the earth be silent. That verse was used for me when you go to church on Sunday. Shh, don't smile, and don't you dare talk. This is the sanctuary. And so we were taught, don't talk out loud, don't laugh, don't have any fun. Mercy days that my ancestors came in here on a Sunday morning. This is not the temple. We are the temples of the Holy Spirit. We, the corporate church, and you and I as individuals are the temples of the Holy Spirit. But who's in charge over the world is Yahweh, not Babylon. They may seem to be the bully winning the battle, but not for long. Love that passage. And then Habakkuk comes back in chapter 3, bursts out in a prayer put to music. It starts out being introduced as music. It will conclude with singing. By the way, sing it with instruments that have strings. So here's a song that he bursts out with. Lord, I've heard of your fame. I stand in awe of your deeds, O Lord. Renew them in our day. In our time, make them known. In wrath, remember mercy. And the rest of that chapter is just repeating the history of Israel. The Exodus, the Red Sea, giving the law on Mount Sinai, crossing the Jordan River, taking down Jordan. All those things that they had in history that God had done over and over and over again. And what he's saying here is, I know you did it before, God. Do it again. Do it again. Take Babylon out. Take them out. But in the meantime, use them to make us a righteous people. Do what you know needs to be done to make us the way we ought to be. Have at it, God. You did it before. Do it again. In wrath, verse 12, it says, you strode the nations. You strode through the earth. In anger, you threshed the nation. You came out to deliver your people, to save the anointed one. Now do it again. Do it again. Now he responds there. I just want to talk over the song. Look at verse 2. Lord, I have heard of your fame. I stand in awe. When I think that you're still on the throne, you're sovereign, even over Babylon, I stand in awe of your deeds. Now verse 16. I heard and my heart pounded. My lips quivered at the sound. Decay crept into my bones. My legs trembled. This is his emotional response. The first was this standing in awe. Now it's an emotional response. Yet I will wait patiently for the day of calamity to come on the nation invading us. I will wait till you do what you said you would do. And here's why we love Habakkuk. He describes the most extreme situation you could ever imagine for a country. Famine so severe, there's nothing left to eat. In fact, one of his contemporaries, a man named Jeremiah, describes the same time. And then Jeremiah writes about what happened when Babylon did lay siege on Jerusalem. And it went on for over 18 months. No food came in. It tells us there in the book of Jeremiah and Lamentations that mothers ate their own children. That's what he's talking about when he describes this here. He's talking about what Jeremiah talked about in the book of Lamentations. Yet I will wait patiently for the day of calamity. Jeremiah knew the same thing Habakkuk knew. Babylon will lay siege of Jerusalem, and it will be slaughtered. It will be smothered. The walls will be down. There will be nothing left. Women will eat their own children. And yet Jeremiah, when he knew this was going to happen, he trusted God in the darkness. He went out and bought some property. Even though he would have to be forced to go to Egypt against his will. Why did he go out and buy property with Babylon laying siege in a moment? Because he took God at his word in the darkness. So yet I will wait patiently for the day of calamity to come on the nation of Egypt. Though the fig tree does not bud, though there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, though the fields produce no food, no grain, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to go on the mountain heights. For the director of music, by the way, sing it with strength. I love Habakkuk. He tells it like it is. Life is the pits. Unfair things happen to good people. And there are times when God chooses to be silent because he knows in the silence and in his letting us go through the hard times, I will grow to trust him. My character will be improved. And so he closes the book there by saying, no matter what happens, there's nothing to eat. Though mothers are eating their own children, I choose to trust in you. I know who you are. I can't understand everything you're doing. I don't always hear you speaking. But I know you did it before. You stood up for your people. You'll do it again. So my question for those of us at Boundary Church this morning. What is your lament? What is your song of lament this morning? Could you be one of those infertile couples trying and trying and trying to conceive and have a child? And oh, how Mother's Day hurts. Could you be that single who always had a desire to be married and have a family, but no man has asked for your hand? And you seem to be sentenced to singleness. Is that your song of lament? Or could you be that single parent who didn't choose to do it that way? You stood at the altar and said, together we will raise these children. You stood here and you made that pledge before the church. But then something happened, either death or divorce or something, and you're raising the kids alone, and it's not easy, and it's not fun, and it's not fair. Is that your lament? Or maybe you've just received that life-threatening diagnosis as Chris. I spoke to him yesterday, and I wanted to encourage him and say I'm praying with him, and I want to walk with him. And he gives me a really responsive, happy response. I've got a one-way ticket to heaven. I could die of dementia and hang on for months and years. I get to go there quickly. And I said, yes, but it's your family. I appreciate Chris's confidence at this time, but I can guarantee you as time goes on and the pain goes on and the loss becomes more significant, it's not going to be easy for the family nor for Chris. But will God have abandoned him? Perhaps your song of lament is the loss of a loved one, a spouse, or burying a child. No one intends to bury your children. The children are to be there to bury us. I don't think there's a more unfair feeling in the world than a child that you hope to raise and then they be there when you're old. You laid them in the grave. Maybe your song of lament this morning is you've been hurt by people you trusted. The ones who should protect you, provide for you, have wounded you. Unfairness. You didn't choose to be the child of a broken home. But there you are. I'm saying, can you trust God in the darkness? Are you and I prepared to go through the dark times and trust God? Do I believe that He will come through as He promised? Here's a litany of scriptures I take from the New Testament. 1 Thessalonians 4:18. Comfort one another with these words. How appropriate yesterday as we had this celebration of life for Aunt Annabelle. Grieve as others. No. Don't grieve like others who have no hope. We have hope because God is still on the throne. He's still in heaven. Nothing's changed. He hasn't died. He's not a dead idol. The God who ripped them out of Egypt can do it again. 2 Timothy chapter 4, Paul's there in the Mamertine prison, ready to die. He said, a crown is waiting for me on that day when the righteous judge appears. That is what motivated Paul to stay true even in a dungeon when he knew you'd never get out of the Mamertine. You're let out to die. You're never released to live. Habakkuk, or Hebrews 10:37. He who is coming will come soon and will not delay, but the righteous one will live by faith. He who is coming will come, and the righteous will continue on living in the darkness and the pain. Not by sight, not by emotion, by faith. Jeremiah again, 29. God said, I have plans for you, Judah, plans for good, plans for prosperity. Now he said that right before Babylon invaded. And he believed him so much he went out and bought that property. So when God delivered, his descendants could inherit the property. I love Revelation 18 and 19. It talks about the fall of Babylon. Here we are again. Only this time it's not historic Babylon. It's the world system that is corrupt today. Where justice is perverted and the law is ignored. And the weak are beat and the strong get more powerful and the rich manipulate. That's the Babylon of today. And it's describing the final death of Babylon. And when it happens, people burst out and say, hallelujah, my God reigns. Amen. And then I love what Jesus said in Matthew 24:30. I will come in great power and glory. The story I want to close with. Martin and Grace Burnham were missionaries with New Tribes Mission in the Philippines for 17 years. He was a pilot. They were captured by a Islamic group, Abu Sayyaf. They were held captive for almost 2 years, I believe. When the government of the Philippines finally located them and tried to rescue them, there was a gunfight. Both he or she, Grace and her husband Mark, were hit. Mark died. Grace did. She lives today in Kansas, writes books. But here's a quote from a book that she just wrote the foreword for Voices of the Marching. I choose to believe that God does all things well. Man does not. We have made a mess of this beautiful world. If there is anything good in this life, it is from God. He has a plan and He is sovereign. We wait patiently for His timing, when He will make all things new. Until then, may He give us the grace to live through. In this world, we don't know what is the product of chance and what is an act of God. But we do know God is still on the throne. And nothing's changed. I wanted to close the message with a video by Andrew Peterson called The Dark Before the Dawn. The lyrics are printed for us. We don't hear well. But I think what he does in that song is the message that I just tried to share this morning.